Hello and welcome to episode 231 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 movies you must see before you die. Been another long break for the series, and last night we were trying to decide on a film to watch. We settled on an old favourite, Ghostbusters. So, 1984, written I think by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and directed by Ivan Reitman, and starring some of your favourite 80s comedic actors. Of course, we've got Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson. What's the guy's name? Dark Helmet. How am I forgetting his name?
The nerd.
Yes, Lewis. Oh my God, Rick Moranis. I love Rick Moranis.
Our favourite, powerful woman.
Sigourney Weaver, yes, of course, yes. Great cast and just an 80s classic, I think. It's one of my favourite comedies. I think it never fails to make me laugh, whether it's like the jokes that I know or jokes that I had never really cottoned onto before. Like last night, there was two things I'd never noticed before. When Lewis says to Dana, he's like, oh yeah, I just was doing a 10-minute workout. It was meant to be 20 minutes, but I did it twice as fast. Just little things like that. And also, Egon, Harold Ramis, who, rest in peace. He is so funny, and I love how in the film he is always explaining to the characters in the film, but also the audience, like the science behind what they're doing. Like he'll go into like the details, but he's doing it in such a dry, deadpan way. It's funny, so he makes exposition entertaining. But just like his little comments when they get to the apartment building at the end, and he just goes, "Oh, Art Deco, nice." I just never noticed that observation before, and that's what I love about the film is just those little moments, a little random comments, and do we need to go into the story really?
No.
Group of paranormal scientists, they discover that they can actually trap ghosts, and then there's like this spirit that's coming back, and it channels all the psychokinetic energy or whatever it is to New York City, and so the more ghosts that they store in the headquarters of the Ghostbusters firehouse, the more it builds up, and then it gets released, and then all hell breaks loose. What can you say about it? The music's great, the comedy's great, the special effects for the time, pretty good. They're not fantastic. They definitely have aged. There's some good stuff. Yeah. There's some, but it's all part of the charm, And Bill Murray, who I feel like there's certain people, like certain comedic actors, like Christopher Walken, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray, like they have their very specific personality
in every movie.
And I feel like Ghostbusters is prime Bill Murray. Like he's never been more Bill Murray than in this film. He kind of carries the whole show in a lot of ways. And I always forget when I watch the first Ghostbusters that Ernie Hudson doesn't show up until like halfway through the movie, and he's barely even in the film really. I guess just as a child, like the first and second movies become one. And so I always think of Ernie Hudson, Winston being in the film, and then he kind of really isn't in the first one that much at all. So, any thoughts you want to share on the film?
It's just one of those movies that you can watch again and again.
Yeah, has a tremendous rewatchability, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you didn't grow up with it, it's still enjoyable, I think. I think most people...
I hope so.
Well, yeah, unless you have crap taste in movies. I wish I was joking, but I mean, why can't you like Ghostbusters?
Right.
I mean, if you enjoy, it's the 80s, so that's great in itself. The actors, just Bill Murray alone, and then Sigourney Weaver, obviously. The rest, I don't really have that much of a connection to anyway, except from this movie.
Yeah.
That's the only movie I know them from, except for
Spaceballs. Yeah, Rick Moranis, or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movies. He's the dad in that.
Yeah. But I just love how tall Sigourney Weaver is next to
him. Yeah, it's a fun pairing when those two are kind of put together.
Yeah. No, it's just funny overall, and it's just how I love Bill Murray. He is carrying the movie definitely. Yes. Like he does with most movies anyway.
So many great lines. It's so much fun, and Bill Murray seems in the film to almost like he's dancing over the line of knowing he's in a movie. There's the part towards the end. There's a part towards the end when they're like, okay, we need to cross the streams. Like it could probably destroy the universe, but that's what we need to do. And he's like, I think that's a great plan. Let's do it. And it's like such a over the top cheesy delivery. It's like it sounds like he's just like, okay, I'm in a movie, but because it's Ghostbusters, it works. I don't know. He has this kind of disdain and he's always like he's the skeptic, but he's also a believer at the same time. And he's kind of always just in the middle in his own little pocket of something. You know, just all those little beats, like when he's playing on the piano. It's like, oh, they hate it when I do this. You know, just little things like that. It really
almost
does.
as random as, do you know what the most annoying sound in the world is?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Jim Carrey.
It's that line of comedy, I think, where it's just completely random, observational.
I bet he improvised that.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it just
maybe he did it, and then it was like, we like that. Let's
right,
zoom in on the piano and do that again. Like,
but those guys are so funny, like Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and you know, I guess they all kind of work together to make that movie. I'm assuming anyway. I don't know too much about the making of it, but I can only assume that they were just kind of having a blast making it. And hilarious film.
Everybody knows the song.
Everyone knows the song, but it's really original too, in the sense that like I've never, my whole life, I haven't lived in a world where it isn't a thing. Like there's always been the cartoon, the toys, you know. Whereas when this film came out first off, it was like a completely new original thing. And I was thinking about that when I was watching it, and it was also cool to watch it now that we went to a lot of the locations a few years ago and be like, oh, I've been there and there and there and there. I guess that's all we did in New York was go to Ghostbusters locations. So it feels like anyway. And you've got mail, yeah. But so that was cool. But you know, it's just one that's always fun to revisit. You know, you're never like, oh, it's dragging a bit this, because every scene.
You enjoy the whole movie.
Because every scene is so enjoyable. So is it a film you should see before you die?
Yes.
Yeah, it just is. You know, there's just because it isn't some great dramatic film doesn't mean that it shouldn't be classed, I think, as a great film and a film that you should see if you haven't seen it. So, yeah, I really can't think of it. I mean, I could probably go talk about other lines that we enjoy and things like that, but it's really just talking about funny bits, really. There's not much to really analyze there. I think it's a well-made, well-put-together film, and I'm just surprised that they were able to make it. Like, one thing I can say is at the end of the film, towards the end of the film, when they're about to go into the apartment building, and like the road outside the thing just starts cracking in half and stuff, and it looks like they did it by the real building. And I'm just thinking, like, how much that must have cost to kind of take the road out and then build like a fake. I don't know, that maybe it was a set, but it looked real to me. And so I just...
Sure, they didn't do that.
I know,
was a busy street, right?
Yeah, exactly. So even so, it's an impressive set. You know, they put a lot of money into the film. Maybe not Star Wars level money, but they certainly, you know, I'm just surprised that
you can definitely tell that the people who did Star Wars didn't do this movie.
No,
I was thinking that when the gargoyle, the doggy
the lightning.
Face,
No,
not the lightning, but the dogs themselves, like how they're not really good.
No, they're not that
great.
They're
the worst part, actually. The glowing ghosts are actually a lot better.
Ghosts
are
great.
Thingies, the ghosts I understand it's hard to do. And I was thinking, ILM did not do this
no.
movie.
Well, maybe they did, and we're just...
No, they didn't.
Well, but yeah, the ghosts look really great, and it's the bit when she's like, "Are you a god?" And he's just like, "No," and she's like, "Then die," and I just... They'd never made the connection that it's just like the Emperor with the Force lightning coming out of the fingers, you know. And then I was thinking, oh yeah, Return of the Jedi came out like a year before this. But anyway, random observation for a film that's filled with those things.
Next time, say yes.
It's always going to be weird when you get to the ghost blowjob scene with Dan Aykroyd. And I always think, like, I was a kid when I watched it. What did I think was happening there when his pants got zipped down and his eyes went all crossed and stuff? Another great practical effect is when Sigourney Weaver gets lifted up off the bed very slowly, and then her whole body starts turning around. You know, obviously that was done in camera, and it just looks really impressive. So, there we go.
Like how Bill Murray reacts there. He's just like, almost like checking, like, is this a magic show?
And then when she's trying to seduce him, he's like, oh, no. Well, yeah, sure. Like, he's just kind of almost going for it.
And when he opens the door and she's like, "Are you the keymaster?" No, and she slams the door, and then he knocks again. And he's like, "Are you the keymaster?" Yes.
Well, I'm a good friend of his.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go. Ghostbusters, great stuff. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.